I'm saying.
Woosah. But listen, I'm with you. Woosah, 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 Wakanda. Listen to what I'm saying.
In the conversation and get the conversation.
Listen, hold on, King. Hold on. You recorded this.
This is all behind the scenes stuff.
Listen. Once she opened her legs to him, what she did,
And
there was a conversation.
there was no conversation about them being in a relationship. People run around, you're gonna make me sweat, and I've been working on it.
We're gonna talk about that later. See, cause
No.
No, we're gonna talk about that later.
Welcome to TF3 Airport. Is what? 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 They say what we famous for. That's why I'm taking y'all on this verbal tour. First stop, Providence Place Mall, 3 floors of stores to shop for you and yours. Don't have a ride, you can take the Ripper. Anywhere you need to go, the bus will get you. Cranston, Warwick, even Newport, Kennedy Plaza, where you can find the ice court. Y'all know Brown University, famous. J-Dub, PC, you alright? Famous. Students from everywhere come here to go there. The capital's Providence. Dante is in your ear. Home of the Blue Bug, Iggy's and Thayer Street. Full of stores to shop on, places you can eat. Near is downtown P-Pack. Enjoy a show. The Dunk Water Fires, other things you need to know. Can't forget Fat Hill for real.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome
and
to
girls.
season 3 of The Other Side of Things. I'm your host, Dante Martin. Listen, the reason why I'm laughing is because y'all don't know what kind of conversation we was having before these cameras came on, but you know what? It's life. Welcome to life. So, now on a serious note though, that's my camera, right, Keith? Yeah, that's my camera because the camera's phone that way. Phone, whatever. But on a serious note, listen, it's going to get serious. That's why I said on a serious note, follow my lead. Slow it down. I just dissed you. That's for King. But anyway, we're going to laugh right now because today's guest, this is a special episode. This is one of the episodes that's going to actually play in its entirety. We're not chopping it up in the beginning. We're just going to let it play out. So however you want to watch it, however long it goes. We did not preset or script what we was going to talk about. We're just going to go with the flow of this conversation. But I believe this conversation is needed because a lot of people is dealing with what this lovely woman is going to talk about today. So without further ado, I'm going to let her introduce herself. Go ahead, the floor is yours, madam.
My name is Michell Bridges.
You was going to say madam, huh?
I know. And not necessarily. There may not be many people dealing with exactly what I've dealt with and I deal with on a daily basis, but there are a lot of people that deal with some of the things that I've dealt with, that I deal with, and I've had to deal with. So.
All right. So without further ado, the reason why I brought you on because you're going to do part 2 with another show we got coming. Keep that on the wraps until it comes out. But I wanted you to tell the people, what's your specialty? What do you do?
I do me. No, I'm only joking. But I help people. I work with people who are trying to receive transplants because if you haven't been through it, you wouldn't be able to understand. You wouldn't be able to guide someone and put them in the right direction, give them advice on what to do. And I'll explain how I got into working with people trying to receive transplants or people on dialysis. At the age of 3, I was diagnosed with juvenile diabetes. Around 2, I started to not want to eat. When I cry, I had no tears, when I peed, I wasn't peeing much, and my mom and my dad was like, something's wrong. And so they brought me to the children's hospital. And when they brought me to the children's hospital, they couldn't figure out what exactly was going on, because back then they really didn't know much about diabetes. And so I had to be placed into the hospital. I was in the hospital for a year, and they finally had realized that I was a diabetic, and I then had to be put on insulin. I was insulin dependent at the age of 3. And so at the age of 3, I, had to deal with the fact, though I was a baby, I would hide underneath the table because I knew I had to get a shot. So, I would hide under the table, I would cry. And my parents had to teach me at a young age that I was going to always be different. Because what the doctors teach you is that there's all these things that come along with being a diabetic. One is, losing your eyesight, kidneys failing, amputations, weight loss, weight gain. If you don't take care of yourself, possible death. And so my parents had to learn and take classes how to give me insulin, how to take care of my diabetes, the right foods to feed me. And, I had siblings, and so my siblings also had to transfer from maybe eating, let's say, Apple Jacks to now eating cornflakes and bananas and fruit and all these things that I had to eat because my mom was like, well, the whole family is going to...
Insert joke here. Well, they didn't like you.
So they had to transfer, the whole family had to change. And so as time went on, I want to say at the age of 12, my mom and my dad wanted to go to North Carolina. And they're like, I don't want to take the kids and we want to go on vacation, but what about Shell? Because they've taken care of my diabetes all this time. My mother was doing my insulin the whole time. And so I was like, I'll be fine, just teach me. And she was like, I don't know, you sure? I said, yes. She said, how are you going to learn? I said, let's use an orange. So she taught me how to draw up my insulin, and I learned how to give shots and draw up my insulin by doing it on an orange first.
Nice.
And so before they left, for a week straight, I showed her, because I knew how to test my blood sugar and eat right and all those things, because at that age I was 12. And so they was able to take their first trip, and after that I took over my diabetes. When I turned 13 though, I was tired. I was like, look, it's Halloween. I go trick-or-treating. Now my siblings had to get my candy. I couldn't eat Halloween candy. So I was curious, and I was like, I've never had candy, or at least I didn't remember, because I was 3 when I had received diabetes. So I went to school. I was at Roger Williams, and I took my little candy and I ate candy. So when I came home, I knew my blood sugar would be high. So my blood sugar was high. And my parents was like, what happened? You're going to kill yourself? You know you're not supposed to eat candy? She
said, I want a Snickers.
Yeah.
I want a Snickers.
So I was like, I cried because, they yelled at me. And I was like, I'm not going to kill myself. I was like, I don't want to be different. I want to be like everybody else. I want to eat candy. And so my father was like, put your shoes on, we're going outside. He made me run up and down the street until I got my blood sugar back down. So, I wanted to be like my siblings. We go to the corner store, I had to get chips. Back then you could get a bag of candy for 25 cents.
Right.
I had to get chips and sunflower seeds. Who wants that? So, as time went on, though, my siblings grew into knowing, like, this is what my sister has to eat. we're going to join her. They didn't complain. Still to this day, my brother drinks diet soda. And so I went to school. I went to school. I went to Roger Williams Middle School. I went to Central High School. Throughout that time, I did battle sometimes being sick, not necessarily from not taking care of myself, but it comes along with being a diabetic. I had the best doctor, Dr. Moran. He stayed my doctor. He was supposed to not be my doctor at the age of 20 because he was my pediatrician, but he took very good care of me, my siblings, my parents. My parents did an excellent job teaching me that I knew I would be different. And I knew that I would have to live with being a diabetic because that was going to be my life for the rest of my life. And so they always said to me, you have to be strong. You have to be strong. And I never understood. And I'm like, why I gotta be strong? Why my siblings don't gotta be strong? Why I gotta be strong? And so, at the age of 21, I woke up one day. I was working. I was working at the YMCA. I woke up one day and I was going to the bus. It was the summertime. The sun, when I got to work, I had this black spot. It just was following me in my eye. And I'm like, in my right eye, I'm like, why can't I get rid of what's going on? So I went on about the day. I was like, maybe it'll go away. It didn't go away. And I was like, maybe, with diabetes, there's a possibility, you could lose your sight or have problems with your eyes. And so I was like, I'm going to call Lens Crafters. I'm going to go see, maybe I need glasses. And so I went to Lens Crafters. They took, they did a eye exam and they're like, you need to see an ophthalmologist. And I was like, okay, that's fine. So when I went to the ophthalmologist, he was like, it'll go away. Right now, you're fine. So I was like, okay, just making sure, I got to make sure,
So hold on. So you saying that one day you just woke up and this happened?
Yeah, I just woke up one day and I had this spot in my eye. I woke up like that. I was perfectly fine. I had this spot in my eye.
So here's a question, if you could play revisionist. So you went to bed feeling fine, everything, then you wake up and you're not realizing that this is about to take a turn for, not the worst, but a transition into a life that you wasn't expecting to.
No, not at that point. No,
that's what I said, revisionist, like thinking about it now.
Yeah, think about it now.
Yeah.
No. Because you got to figure, all this time I never really had problems per se with my diabetes. Like I said, things came along. At 13, I ate some candy. But other than that, for the most part, my diabetes was under control. I was insulin dependent. I had to take insulin 3 times a day. I checked my blood sugars on a regular basis. And I knew what I could eat, what I couldn't eat. I always was active to make sure that I wasn't overweight to add any more stress onto my heart or my body.
The reason why I asked that question was for this reason. Like, you know how when somebody go to sleep and you could be perfectly fine and then they just don't wake up? And it's like you woke up to something that you didn't know was going to be a changing of your life.
Right.
That's why I asked that question.
No, I never thought of it that way.
Right.
No. Because you have to figure. So once I went to the eye doctor, they was like, oh, we don't see anything, it should go away. So I thought nothing of it.
Right.
That, fine. A few months later, I wasn't feeling well. So I said, let me go to the emergency room. I went to the emergency room and I kind of had like swelling in my ankles and my legs were swollen a little bit. And I was like, huh. Now at this point, I didn't know anything about kidney failure in the symptoms of kidney failure, because why would I think of that?
Correct.
I'm 21. I've been doing well for the most part. Why would I think of, my feet and my ankles and my legs are swelling because maybe my kidneys are failing? I go to the emergency room, the tests come back. This doctor came to me and she was like, your creatinine is at 3. I said, what is that? And she was like, that's your kidney level. Your creatinine should be 1 or lower, 0.9 to 1. And I said, what do you mean? What are you saying to me? And she was like, I think you need to see a kidney doctor. I said, for what? At this point, I'm like, I need you to be, you're speaking to me in circles. And she said, your kidneys are probably failing. She was like...
You were how old again?
I was 21.
Okay.
She was like, I was like, I'm leaving. She was like, as a doctor, I suggest you don't leave. I said, I'm leaving. She gave me a card. She was like, this is my number if you need anything. I left. I went home. I didn't tell anybody. And at that time, my sisters, my brother, my mom and dad, they was home. I went upstairs and I just sat there. And I said, what am I gonna do? I'm 21. This is supposed to be the year. I'm 21. But at this point, let me back up. I'm sorry. I had my boyfriend. And so I'm like, what is he gonna say? We're young. This whole time we've been living our life. I can't tell him. I can't tell my mom. I can't tell my dad. I can't tell my siblings. I have to figure out what I'm going to do. I knew nobody that's kidneys had failed. So I sat on it for a week. I took the card, the number on there, Dr. Chazen. I made a call and I was like, I was told my creatinine level is high and that my kidneys are probably failing. I need to make an appointment. I make an appointment. I go and he's like, your kidneys are probably not going, your kidneys are failing. You're not going to get better. I said, what does this mean? How long do I have before my kidneys actually really fail? And he said, it depends on you and how sick you get, how fast and how sick you get. Because at this point, I felt sick, but I wasn't throwing up. I was still able to go to work. I was still able to, do what I was doing on a daily basis. And so I still hadn't told anyone I went to go see this kidney doctor. Because now I'm like, this is for real. Like, what is happening? I woke up, had a spot in my eye. Now my kidneys are failing. This cannot be happening to me. I have a whole life to live. I go home. I still don't say anything to nobody. I was like, I have to call somebody. Well, who can I call? And I sat and I was like, God, I need you right now. Like, I don't know what to do. A week later, I finally sat my mom and my dad down and I was like, my kidneys are failing. My mom cried, of course. My father didn't say much. And he was like, you're strong. He said, remember, you're strong. And I was like, yeah, I know. But this is different. What am I going to do? So then we had a family meeting, told my sisters and my brother. And I was like, I have to prepare myself that I'm going to have to get on dialysis. When I'm gonna have to get on dialysis, I don't know. But I'm gonna have to prepare myself. How do you prepare yourself to get on dialysis and you're not ready for what's about to happen? I'm like, what am I gonna do? So I ran around, me and my boyfriend, we was living life, and I finally told him, I was like, I'm getting sick, my kidneys are failing. He stayed around for that time being. I started to get sicker and sicker. It got to a point where I couldn't put shoes on my feet. I was running around, I had to wear slippers. Thank God it was the summertime. I was able to put dresses on because my legs was really, really swollen because I was retaining fluid. When your kidneys fail, you pee less and your body takes in the poison of what your body's not letting out. And so I was retaining a lot of fluid. And so at this point, now my creatinine level is at 14. And now I said it's time for me to go on dialysis. I went to my doctor. I was like, I'm sick. I was like, it's time for me to go on dialysis. And so I went to the dialysis center right on Broad Street, on Plenty Street. And they sat me down and they said, I want you to watch a video. And I was like, okay. So they have me watch this video. Now there's peritoneal dialysis, which is you can do it at home. And there's hemodialysis. You can go to the center 3 days a week, and they will, filter your blood that way. I watched the video, and the video made you believe that peritoneal was the best decision to make. So I said, maybe I could do peritoneal. I can travel. I don't want to do hemodialysis because how they explain it is if you get a fistula, you have to put it in your arm. I have fistulas. I have one here. I have a big one in here. If that doesn't work, then you have to it made it seem as if you have to get it in your neck, get a tube in your neck. I'm like, I'm 21. Why would I want to have a tube in my neck and look like a freak? And then I'm really going to be stuck in the house. So
the freaks come out at night. The freaks come out at night. The freaks come out.
So I'm like, no. So
My bad, people.
It's fine. So I decided I was going to try peritoneal dialysis. Now, peritoneal dialysis consists of you having someone to help you. At that time, my mom had a home daycare, and so she had to shut her home daycare down to help me do dialysis. So all these things had to be shipped to my house, and I had to get a tube in my stomach, and that's how I would drain the toxins out of my body.
Pause for a second. Because I know, you had a great support system.
I did.
Like, at this time and moment, those that's going to hear this, what could they do if they don't have a great support system?
I can speak on that after.
Okay.
Because I'll tell you a story about this girl and who I needed to help because she didn't have a support system. But
because that plays a major part, because it seems like when you have people there that is actually supportive and helping, because you see how you said your mom, like, she basically had something going on in her life and she stopped it to make sure my daughter get the needs and care that she needed.
Right.
So that's why I'm saying it's like,
if you don't, so if you don't have a support system, it's hard unless you find someone like me that's been through it. And so I had my support system, but they didn't know what to do with me. They didn't know whether to cry, be happy, stay there, support me, or leave, because it was a situation where it happened like that. Right. You had no time to think about it. It was scary. It was scary for them. It wasn't scary for me because I knew in order for me to live, this is what I got to do. This is going to be my life for the rest of my life. You can't turn back from your kidneys failing. No way possible. You can't run away from that. I didn't have time to think about it. I had to, this is what I'm going to do. We're going to do it right now. And I was blessed to be able to have my mother and father who was supportive. I was blessed to be able to have my siblings that were supportive. Now, during the time, though, when I started dialysis, I didn't have many of my friends. I lost a lot of people. And so when I started dialysis, peritoneal was the worst decision I could have ever made. Peritoneal dialysis did not drain the toxins out of my body like it was supposed to. Peritoneal dialysis made me unable to sleep. I was throwing up. I couldn't do anything. I had way more fluid on me than I did before my kidneys failed. My boyfriend, still at that time, had been around, but he didn't know what to do. So I had sat up 2 weeks after doing peritoneal dialysis. I used to have a couch in my room, so I would sit up on my couch. And I told my mom, I said, I'm not doing this no more. This is not the life I want to live. I'd rather die. I was like, I'm sick. I can't live my life. I can't go outside. I can't do nothing. I was like, this is killing me. I'd rather die. And she cried. And I said, if this is what I got to do, I got to go and put a tube in my neck and be a freak or do this. I'd rather die. The next morning I woke up, my tube in my stomach clotted.
Oh.
God gave me my answer. I went to the hospital. They had to put a tube in my groin to dialyze me because my fistulas that they was putting in wouldn't work. They failed. I have 3 of them. They said, we have to put a tube in your chest. I said, my chest? You sure my chest and not my neck? They said, no, we don't put a tube in your neck. I said, well, your video says that you put a tube in your neck. You should change that video. Because if I would have known that, I would have did hemodialysis first. And so they put a tube in my chest right here. My tattoo covers it, but you can feel it. I had a tube put in my chest so that I could do hemodialysis. I left the hospital. I started hemodialysis. I went from 6 in the morning to 10 in the morning. And then a month into doing hemodialysis, I felt great. I lost a lot of weight, but I felt great. I was tired because you have to learn how to move around when you're on dialysis because dialysis makes you tired. You also have to know how the medicine makes you feel. You got to learn how to work with the medicine. Being on dialysis, you're on a strict diet. When I say strict, you're on a strict diet.
No more Snickers, huh?
No, well, I hadn't eaten Snickers because, I had been a diabetic, so I still couldn't eat. I still had to be on my diabetic diet, but being on a renal diet is...
Explain that.
It's not for the weak. So being on a renal diet, basically like, for instance, you can't have pasta sauce. You can't drink orange juice. No grapefruit. It's very, very, very... So
things that have acid?
Not necessarily. Not just that. Because the medicine you take, you can't have, like, I couldn't eat pancakes, for instance. It's high in phosphorus. So the medicine I was taking, I couldn't eat pancakes. Or I couldn't eat this. And so if you didn't follow what they're telling you, you would feel awful. for instance, being on dialysis, you only could drink so much, because if you retain so much liquid, your dialysis treatment, they would have to take a lot off. It would make you sick, you'll have cramps, and so the diet was very, very strict. The medicine, you had to take a lot of medicine. But the end result would be that you can get on the list. And so when I was on dialysis, when I got sick, I had to stop working. I applied for disability. They denied me. A month after being on dialysis, I had to go back to work because I had no health insurance. Let me back up. I'm sorry. I did not go back to work right away. I'm lying. My first dialysis treatment, I lost my vision. I went completely blind. And I said to myself, why me? Why? Why me and not my siblings? I told my mother, I said, I don't want to be handicapped. I don't know if I'm going to get my vision back. My doctor came. He said, Michelle, he said, you're going to get your vision back. And he said, some of your vision will come back. I had a lot of hemorrhaging, which is my blood vessels detached in my right eye first, remember? I had that spot when I woke up. That was the start of my eye hemorrhaging, my blood vessels detaching, which is diabetic retinopathy. And it's so I don't have enough blood flow and oxygen in my eyes, and so it made my blood vessels detach.
So there's nothing in your life, like exercise or anything, that could have did anything for that, right?
No.
Okay.
Now at that point, once it gets to that point, so the hemorrhaging, it was the dead blood cells floating. So I did laser. He was able to get the dead blood cells, as much as possible. But at this time, when I had my first dialysis treatment, my blood vessels had come apart, and I didn't have enough oxygen flow going into my eyes, and so there was nothing you could do at that point. I still had my full vision. I didn't lose my vision when I as bad until I had dialysis, my first dialysis treatment. And so
if this is supposed to help, why did that happen?
Dialysis had nothing per se to do with the loss of my vision. The loss of my vision came from being a diabetic. But remember, they teach you that. They told me all this.
Right.
The kidneys, you could lose your limbs, loss of vision. It's just something that you don't have control over. My parents did the best. I did the best. And still that this has happened. And so you can't, how they have no way right now, currently, to figure out how to reattach your blood vessels. It comes from your brain into your eyes. Your oxygen comes from your brain, your blood vessels are attached, and your eyes to your brain. And so they would have to figure out how to have a brain surgery that's safe to be able to restore someone like me's vision. And so he was like, Michelle, you're going to get part of your vision back. I was like, that's good enough for me. So I laid in that hospital bed and I said, this is my life for the rest of my life. My mom and them didn't know what to do. I said, I don't need y'all to do anything. I was like, I'm going to be okay. I got out the hospital. I came home. I told them I was moving out. My mom cried, "Don't leave me here, don't leave me here." I said, I have to move. I have to figure my life out. I'm now visually impaired. I'm on dialysis. I need to take care of me and figure this out. I don't want to be a handicap. What, I'm going to lay in this bed and you do everything for me? And me not be able to go out in this world? I said, I don't want to be afraid to cross the street and think I'm going to get hit by a car. I don't want no one to hold my hand and guide me wherever I need to go. I got to figure my life out. And you can't help me with that because y'all don't know what I have to go through and you can't understand what I'm going through. I have to figure this out. I'm moving out. Mind you, I wasn't working. I had nothing. I had my savings. I'm leaving because I have to figure this out. I got an apartment. I got my first, I moved back because I was going to get my kidney. I get my first kidney transplant. Now, it took a year. It's very important to know your blood type. I have to say that. I knew my blood type. I'm A negative. They called me. They said, Michelle, I want you to do the workup because I had done everything that I need to do while I was on dialysis. Again, I was 21. I really didn't have too many issues. I was visually impaired at this point. I did everything that I needed necessary to be able to get on this list so that I can get a transplant, because when I was on dialysis, everybody was old. When I say everybody was old. I had no one to explain to me, this is what's going to happen if you get a kidney transplant. This is what can happen if you get a kidney transplant. These are the things you need to do to take the steps to get a kidney transplant. When I was on dialysis and I was doing the workup, they gave me a binder. I can't read the binder because at this point I'm visually impaired. I'm like, how am I going to figure out and master this? Because this is my life for the rest of my life. I got my phone, which speak to me, and I Googled everything. When I say everything and every question that I had, I bring back to my doctor, Dr. Go. Shout out to Dr. Go. Dr. Go was my doctor from the age of 21 till recent, until he moved.
His name is Dr. what?
Go.
Go.
G-O-H-H.
Go.
Reginald Go.
I was thinking of Carmen when I heard go. Sorry.
Oh, no, it's fine. But, and so I had to know what I needed to know to be able to live, if that makes sense. I needed to know what I needed to know so that I could live. I mastered what it had to be on dialysis to live a life. I mastered what it would be to get a transplant to live my life. I mastered being visually impaired and moving around this world and living by myself, working, continuing to get my education, and so that I can get out in this world and be a blessing to other people, because I didn't have someone that's like me. I finally got on the list. A year later, I got a call for a kidney transplant. Now, there's two different types of donors. There's a cadaver, which is from a non-living, and then there's a living donor. If you receive it from someone who has passed away, it can last 10 years. Now, that don't mean it's going to last 10 years because your body can reject a transplant. Or your body can take the transplant very well, very well. You have to take care of it to get the best out of it.
Shout out to all the doctors that knows this information to be able to help people in these situations, because like when you listen to you taking organs out of somebody else's body and put it into somebody else's body, you really have to be highly qualified to do that, because
Absolutely.
one false move and
It's over with.
yeah. So shout out to all the doctors, nurses, practitioners, all of y'all that bravo.
And so with a living donor, the transplant lasts 25 years. And so the reason why a non-living is because, they have to, keep your body warm. No, keep your body warm. They have to take that organ out, test that organ, keep it on ice. You have 24 hours the max, and then it loses its life value when you take it out of a non-living person. So they got to work fast. And the system generates who this kidney, I'm going to use the kidney, matches. So the system generates it. They call, they say, we have a transplant for you. You either say yes or no. They'll tell you whatever information they may know. For instance, let's say it came from a 25 man. Oh, we have a 25-year-old man. He passed away. He had no health issues. Do you want it? You could deny it, or you could say yes. It's up to you. If you deny it, they call in the next person that the system has generated.
Didn't Walter Payton have kidney? Y'all familiar? Was it Walter Payton?
I don't know.
I think he. Go ahead.
I know Nick Cannon. I don't know.
I know John Q's son needed a new heart.
Oh yeah. I love that movie. And 7 pounds. But anyway.
Yeah. Oh my.
And so I had received my first transplant. It worked for 6 months, and then it failed.
Oh.
And so,
What was your mindset when this was happening?
when I received my transplant,
No, that you received, and did it fail? And also, don't forget the part when you was talking about because now here's a question I have is as a woman, they telling you you're gonna get a kidney from a man. Like, how does that work?
I didn't care if it came from a monkey at that point.
No. I'm saying because
It doesn't matter the sex. And so when they
so the organs don't have no sex.
organs have no
Okay.
sex. And so what they do is
Hold on, time out. Because Key's shaking his head. Key. Ladies and gentlemen, the reason why I'm asking this question, because I'm probably not the only one that asked this question.
No, you're not.
Okay, thank you. So a man living his life, doing man things, you're taking his organs out and you're giving it to a woman.
Yes.
That's what, this is why I'm asking this question, because a woman, her kidneys and her organs has to operate properly to bring forth life.
her ovaries.
No, I'm talking about, but still organs and everything have to be working.
It's no different than a man.
No different from a man?
No different.
Okay, we cleared that up, okay.
Our private parts are different.
Okay, all right, see that makes sense. Okay, go put you, go.
And so
Well, I have women organs in me and my name go from Dante to Danielle,
oh
see?
my goodness. And so when I received my transplant, I was excited. I'm now about to be 22. Now I was 22. And so I was like, yes, I got a kidney transplant. It worked for 6 months, and then it failed. And so, but I knew going in that when they test you, they go by your antibodies and your blood type. Mm-hmm. Now I have someone else's antibodies in my system. And so my body has to try not to fight this foreign object. And so you take all this medicine, you take steroids, you take all this medicine in the beginning. But as the months go, the medicine tapers down, but I exercised, I took my medicine, I did everything that I needed to do. But that particular organ, my body, the antibodies didn't work the way they were supposed to. I go back on dialysis. So now I'm on dialysis, but I worked this whole time. I still live life. Now I have dialysis mastered because I know what it made me feel like. I knew I had to go from 6 to 10, go home, shower, eat, sleep, go to work from 1 to 9. That's what I did.
Pound.
That's what I did. And so,
she said, I got work to do. I got work,
I
baby.
was on dialysis then, though, for 4 years. And so, I did it faithfully for 4 years. At this point, I was living on my own because I didn't want to be a handicap. I learned about being visually impaired. I mastered, being on dialysis. The second time around, while being on dialysis, there were 2 young girls there. That's how I got into working with people trying to get transplants. There was one girl, she was not for it. She did everything and anything possible to not want to get treatment, not taking care of herself. Her mom and them didn't understand. They wasn't supportive. And so one day the social worker was like, Michelle, I need you to talk to her. I was like, all right, cool. Because, when I was there, everyone was old. I had no one to talk to. I had a talk with her and I was like, listen, this can be so easy. I was like, though it seems so hard, this can be so easy. You'll feel better. You'll be able to live. You can do all the things you want to do. Because I traveled when I was on hemodialysis. I was able to travel because the dialysis center will set up wherever you may be going so that you can do dialysis in that city.
Right.
And so it took me months. I finally got her to come to dialysis 3 days out a week. She looked better. She felt better. I had another girl, same thing. She wasn't as bad. So I had to teach her the ropes about being on dialysis and teaching them it's not that bad. It's really not if you do what you're supposed to do, because this is your life for the rest of your life. And people will just say, you're so young, how do you do it? I have no choice. This is what I have to do to live. This is my life. Like, I want to be here. I have to be here. This is my life for the rest of my life. And so 4 years later, I got another kidney. That kidney lasted me my whole 10 years. My body did well with that kidney. In between time, I'm gonna go back and forth. My boyfriend left when my kidneys first failed. He had said to me, I can't do this. And I said to him, me neither. And so,
shame on you, boyfriend.
No. But he could have treated me bad. He could have cheated. He could have did all these things. He was 22.
Right.
And I said to him, I don't know what I'm going to do.
Did people think you was going to die?
Of course they did.
Okay, so that's what I'm saying. That could play into a person's mind.
Of course he did. I was so skinny. I had this one guy running around telling people I had AIDS because I had lost so much weight. And dialysis makes you dark. And so I had gotten dark. And so, I lost the majority of my friends. When I say I
But they
lost,
didn't understand what was going on, right?
they didn't understand. They didn't want to understand. All they seen was,
Were they thinking it was contagious or something?
no.
Okay.
When you get sick, people's like, I don't want to deal with that. That's her problem. Like, well, I want to be around a sick girl, or well, I don't want to deal with that, or whatever. I don't know what was.
People are crazy.
I don't know what was going on in their head. But in that point, when my boyfriend needed to leave, I didn't have time to wonder why. I knew why, but I didn't have time to fight for my relationship. I was trying to figure me out and what my life was going to look like and how my life was going to be. And everyone was mad because I wasn't mad. He had enough respect to come to me and tell me I wasn't mad. I had to allow him to live because I didn't know how to live just yet. And so as time went on, again, I got my second transplant. It lasted me for 10 years. I traveled. My second transplant is when I bought my house. I said, listen, this is life. I got life. I work. I'm alive. I still have part of my vision. The only thing that's different from me and other people, I can't drive. I can't look at a computer and read what's on that computer without having big print. I'm no different. That's the only difference. I'm still a human being. I bleed red blood. I'm gonna buy me a house. Because now at this point, I got nieces and nephews, and I was in a 1-bedroom, and it was time for me to do what I know that I could do. Be that strong woman that my mom and dad told me that I needed to be when I was 3.
Pause, people. So you heard what she just said. Partially blind, no disability, yet working and purchase a home. At the age of what?
32.
Proceed.
And so, I said, people was running around thinking that I was this sick girl. Nah, I'm not sick. This is my life. This is my life for the rest of my life. That's not a sickness to me. And people's like, you don't look like anything's wrong with you. But I teach people you're not supposed to look like what you go through.
Ooh.
You're not. And so,
Ball. Ball.
and so, like I said, I had lost majority of everybody. I still had my main friends, about 5 of them. I still have them now. But I had lost. When I say I lost, I had lost. And when I gained, I never gained. I never allowed those people back in my life. Because if I wasn't good enough then, I'm not good enough now. Oh, because you thought Shell was going to sit in the house because her impairment. You thought Shell was going to sit in the house because she was on dialysis. You thought Shell was going to just sit in the house and be handicapped. Because that's what you thought.
You want us to start praising it here? Keep going. Go, Pastor.
And so, fast forward, after my kid, in between time though, let me put this out.
Oh, it was liver failure for Walter Payton.
Oh.
Dave Robinson have kidney failure, professional basketball player.
Oh, okay.
So it goes to show you could be in the greatest of shape or whatever because he's.
But I do want to put out there, in between time, my mom got tested. She wasn't a match. My older sister got tested. She wasn't a match. One of my girlfriends got tested. She wasn't a match. A dude that I was dating got tested. He wasn't a match. One of my boys got tested. He wasn't a match. My father, though, not my biological father, but my father that raised me was a match. But as time went on, like, he's a match, but why didn't he give me a transplant? This is in my head, but I'm not going to ask.
Wait. Skip over that. This is my job now. That's why I listen. Your biological father, the man I met, that wasn't him?
That's my biological father you met. That's
Okay.
not who raised me.
Okay, so
My father raised me.
I'm with you on that. So now, do you know why I'm asking this question? Life is amazing. The person, did he walk out on y'all?
Who?
Your biological father?
Yeah.
Okay. Ain't it interesting for him to walk out of your life, but the man that walked in?
I mean, he was around periodically. You know, I'm not going to take that away from him. He would come around when he felt he would come around. But yes, my father, Thomas, was a match.
That's what I'm saying. So this man coming into your life, like, what's the odds of that? That was my focus. Like, what's the odds of? Because just imagine if your biological father stayed.
He was around.
No, I know, but I'm saying this man wouldn't be able to enter.
Right.
You see what I mean? Come on, walk.
I got you. I'm with you. I'm walking with you. I got you.
Okay, thank you.
And so,
Dante.
and so he was a match, but I never asked any of these people to get tested. That's one thing I'm not going to do, because I already had one kidney. No one got tested. My second time around, I was on there for 4 years. All these people got tested. I'm not asking
But
nobody.
maybe people might have been scared to give their kidney.
No, I'm not. I'm fine with that. That's why I wasn't gonna ask. I'm not gonna ask it, because if someone tell me no, I'm gonna send them to the moon. Because I done did everything. I done did everything.
Put 'em up.
I done did everything and anything in this world for everybody. And so he was a match. We kept saying, he got tested. And so as time went on, 10 years went by, like I said, found out my dad had bone cancer. And he found out he had bone cancer when he got tested to give me a kidney. 10 years.
Hold up. Time out. Let people digest this.
But I'm saying 10 years he had cancer, that whole 10 years.
Rewind that back. So this man, to go save your life, found out he was being his own demise.
But he wasn't sick. He didn't know. He never had been sick. He wasn't sick. He was going through the testing. He found out he had bone cancer. He never told us. And I never asked why he didn't give me a kidney. I said, he must have.
Oh, so he knew he had bone cancer.
He found out then when he was getting tested to give me a kidney.
Okay, so how you going to tell you something that he didn't know?
When he got tested, he found out then.
Oh, and then he didn't tell nobody.
He never told us. We didn't find out till 10 years later when he got sick.
Do you know that's the second time I heard a story? Check this out. There was a guy, I forgot who it was, but I know the story. He got into an accident. I don't know if it was drinking or driving. That's when he found out he had a brain tumor or something. So that actually saved his life. Things like that. It's crazy how life works like that. But so.
And so he went the whole 10 years knowing he had bone cancer. We didn't know. He worked and my doctor couldn't tell me because of it's HIPAA.
Yeah.
But my doctor would always be like, "How's your dad? He's still moving pianos and things on his back." And I'm like, "Yeah, he's good." And then one day he was really, really sick, and my mom called me, and she was like, because they own a house 2 streets over, she was like, "Thomas is sick. I need you to come. I'm going to call the ambulance." We go call the ambulance. He refused the ambulance. I'm like, "You're throwing up everywhere. You got to go to the hospital. You've never been sick. Something's wrong." He refused the ambulance. We let the ambulance go. An hour later, I called another ambulance. I was like, "Come on, just go. I'm going to go." We go. We go to Roger Williams Hospital. The doctor, we should have sued the doctor, but the doctor comes and was like, "Hey, so you've been diagnosed with melanoma." He just started crying. That's when we found out he had cancer. I was like,
So what do you mean sue the doctor for what?
The doctor was not supposed to expose that information with me and my mother there. They're supposed to ask permission. Is it okay to speak in front of these people? We had no idea he had cancer.
He didn't want y'all to know.
He didn't want us to know.
And so he found out, cried.
He cried. Me and my mom left.
Did he ever tell you why he didn't want y'all to know?
He didn't want my mom to worry.
Because here's the thing, though, too. It's like, true, you don't want to worry, but I know a lot of people who found their loved ones in bed taking a nap.
He was getting treatment. That whole time, he was getting treatment. But we wouldn't know that. My mom worked. We was in school. Well, I'm sorry, I'm lying. I lived where I lived. My siblings lived wherever they lived. My mom was working. He was never sick. He was getting treated the whole time. He never was sick until this time when we had to call the ambulance. So at this time, it was getting worse. That's my cat. It was getting worse. And so he was in the hospital for a while, and I was like, y'all can come live with me. Because at this point, at their home, the bedrooms are upstairs. He wasn't able to, my mom was like, I need help. And I'm like, that's fine. But again, remember, my 10 years was coming up that my kidneys was going to fail.
This is why I wanted her to tell this story, because this is basically what our show is about, getting to know the other side of things, people's lives, careers, health. And I felt this story was important. That's why we letting it play out. We don't want to stop. We don't want you to think, oh, what's going to happen? No, we letting it play out as long as it goes. So as long as she's speaking, y'all listening. So that's what's going on.
And so I'm like, he wanted to stay in the hospital. He's like, I don't want to come live with you. And I'm like, why? And he felt like, I don't want to die in the house. And I'm like, but you can't stay in this hospital. You can't walk. You got tumors. At this point, he had tumors on his back. He had tumors on his brain. But he's still him, though. So they said, we could try a treatment that will try to put him in remission. We're like, okay, cool. He does the treatment. It puts him in remission.
I don't want to ruin your story. Did you get his kidney?
No, I couldn't. He has cancer.
Oh, okay.
You can't.
Like I said, I wanted to ask, and I'm like, all right.
No, because he had cancer. You can't donate. You can't donate an organ.
So now the reason why I asked that, because as you mentioned it, right? Mm-hmm. It's like, wow, it's a match, but then it's like, so far as we listen, it's like, I was gonna name this episode "Faith Without Works Is," but no, you know what I'm gonna name this? Why Me? When I heard you say it, I think that's gonna be the name of this. Mm-hmm. Why Me? And I could see in your life, it's a theme of that. Like, no matter how good of news come, oh, we got you a match. Oh, a loved one and you can't get it because of this.
But I never questioned why me at that point, though. I only questioned why me when they said, your kidneys is failing. You lost your vision. And in that state, I said, why me? I never questioned when my dad didn't give me his kidney and he had cancer, why me? That would be selfish of me. Why would I question why me?
I didn't say you said
No. I know. I'm saying I wasn't never in that state after I questioned it in the beginning, because I already knew this is my life. I'm either going to take over it or it's going to take over me. And I wasn't going to let it take over me. I had my nieces and nephews I needed to live for. I had my parents my siblings. I had these you gotta remember, while I was working, I was an HIV and AIDS counselor.
Right.
I had teens lives I was trying to save. I had these people out here who didn't know about being on dialysis that I needed to help and try to save. I had people who was diabetic that didn't understand how to take their insulin or how to manage their diabetes. I had a whole lot of things that in my heart and in my mind, I felt that I gotta be here. And so with my father, he was in remission for 3 years. And then they came and they come to live with me. Because now it got to a point where my mom's working overnight, I'm working days, and we had to take shifts because he no longer could live at their home. And so we brought him here. In between that time, my grandmother gets sick. Now we're juggling my father. My aunts and my uncles did a good job with my grandmother, but we still wanted to be involved with my grandmother. So now my father's sick. At this point, my father's really sick. He's dying. And so he's here, we're taking care of him. And one day he said to me, "I'm having a heart attack." I said, "You're not having no heart attack." He said, "I'm having a heart attack. I want to go to the hospital." I said, "You're walking up the stairs," because he was coming from downstairs. I said, "You're not having a heart attack. You're walking up the stairs." He sat on the couch. He said, "I want to go to the hospital." I said, "Fine, we'll go to the hospital. Let me call Deb. That's my mom. We're going to go to the hospital." Take him to the hospital. He didn't have no heart attack. He was afraid he was going to die in the house. He didn't want to die in the house. I was like, you're coming back home. So he come back home. He had his little Jag. He couldn't feel his feet. He wanted to get in his car. He went to driving. He told my mom, "Get in the car." She said, "I'm not getting in the car. You can't feel your feet."
Yabba dabba doo.
So he rolled up and down, Broad with his little Jag. And so,
wait a minute, he couldn't feel his feet, but he was still able to.
He was driving.
Oh,
yeah.
nice.
And so now in between time, so now, my grandma's getting worse and my mom's like, I want to bring my mom home. Cause at this point she had gotten bad. She had to go into a nursing home. And I said, we'll bring her here. So my father was in the hospital. We bring my grandmother here. My father's in the hospital. They said, you should prepare. He's not going to live he'll live for about another 4 days. In between this time, my kidneys are failing. My 10 years was up. My kidneys is failing. Bring my dad to hospice. My dad dies 4 days later.
How did they do that?
Huh?
How did they do you going to die in 40 days?
He was in hospice in 4 days. He was dying.
But the pinpointed for 4 days.
He wasn't eating. They just give you that time period to prepare. He wasn't eating. He wouldn't eat for us. He wouldn't, because he was up. He was awake. He was verbal. He had passed. My kidneys are failing. So I'm like, whew. He passed. My grandmother's here. Me and my mom's juggling. My father, my grandmother, me. I'm working. My kidneys are failing. All this is going on. My grandmother eventually passes away. I get sick. Here we go again. My kidneys failed. I'm like, Deb, my kidneys is failing. I got to go to the hospital. I feel sick. My mom's best friend, Antoinette, she's like, I'm going to take you. We go. I'm like, Dr. Gold, listen. Now, this is the third time. What we going to do? He was like, you need to get a living donor. I said, well, I guess I'll be on dialysis for the rest of my life because I'm not going to ask nobody. And the people that already got tested, they're not a match. I was like, I'm not asking nobody. I'll do dialysis. It's okay. I know how dialysis work. I'm used to it. At this point, I got, that's what it's going to be. This is my life for the rest of my life. In between this time, I pray to God. I pray to God. I was like, God, you got this. Like, what else could I do? You know what I mean? What am I going to do? We're in the doctor's office. Internet said, it's okay. I'll give you a kidney. I chuckled. And I said, I know you will. I know you would. I know you will. We left the doctor's office. 2 days later, she called me. She said, what do I need to do? I said, you got to go to Rhode Island Hospital, go to the 9th floor to the kidney transplant center, give my name, my insurance pays for everything. You got to go get a workup. Her and her son got up, went to Rhode Island Hospital, gave my name. They was in competition to give me a transplant. Both of them was a match. They got the workup. She was a better match. I didn't have to go on dialysis. She did the workup in 30 days so that I didn't have to go on dialysis. She gave me a kidney transplant.
I want to give a special shout out. I'm not going to say her name, but I'm going to give a special shout out to my coworker. Do you know that she just donated one of her kidneys?
Good.
To someone, and she said, I don't know. I just prayed and I felt the need to do it.
So she did a swap, or she just donated to a stranger?
She just donated it.
Because you can, I'll explain all that in the end. But so she gave me her kidney, and it was a struggle for her father. Her father's older, and he's like, why would you do that? What if you need it? And people not understanding that you can live with one kidney. People donate kidneys all the time. You can live with one kidney. And so she was like, I'm doing it. This is what I'm doing. I done seen this girl. I've known her since she was a kid. Never complain and don't ask nobody for nothing, and do for everybody and anybody. I'm giving her this kidney. And she gave me her kidney with no questions asked. She didn't care what people said. And so I was like, this is what I've been looking for. Someone to give me a kidney. A living donor's kidney will last 25 to 30 years. And I got what I've been fighting for. A living donor. Midnight. And so, after I got that...
Midnight is the cat.
Midnight's my cat.
Because I'm like, people are like, why did you just say midnight?
She's crying. And so, after I got my kidney, my doctor was like, I need you to get a pancreas. I was like, you better leave me alone, because he been had pressuring to get a pancreas, and a pancreas is a transplant that you get because when I was a diabetic, of course, when I was younger, my pancreas wasn't working properly. Your pancreas is what produces insulin, and so he wanted me to get a pancreas to help out my kidney. Not necessarily did I need it, but it was better for me to have a pancreas with my living donor kidney so that it could give me long lasting with my kidney. And so I was like, no, I just had my third kidney transplant, and you want me to get a pancreas? I'm not doing it. Dr. Go was like, come on, Michelle, you're my best patient. You're in great health. You're my best patient. I was like, all right, fine. I'm going to get on the list. And so I got on the list to get a pancreas transplant. I want to say I had my kidney 5 years already. And so I get on the list. I got 2 calls. I got a call. I have a pancreas for you. No, it was no good. I got a second call. About a month later, I got a pancreas for you. Wait a minute, it's no good. I got a third call. Michelle, I got a pancreas for you. And they didn't tell me who it was from, no nothing. And I said, can I have some information on it? Because the first 2, y'all told me you had a pancreas transplant, but then it was no good. They said it's a 17-year-old little girl. She was in a car crash. She's brain dead. I told them no. I was like, no. I'm sorry. I can't do it. I was like, that's a baby. That's a baby. And the nurse was like, Michelle, she said, if anyone deserves this pancreas, it's you. She was like, I think you should take it. And I was like, I just don't know. Like, I don't know. And she was like, I'm going to give you 10 minutes. Call me back. I called my mother and my sister. It was 4 o'clock in the morning. I said, they have a pancreas for me, but the girl's 17. She's brain dead. I don't know.
This is here where we live?
In Boston.
Oh, okay.
My mother was like, Shell, take it. I'm like, I mean, I know I won't have to take insulin no more. I know it'll be good for me. I was like, I'm going to take it. Her name is Julia. I have my chain on. Her name is Julia. Her parents, Todd and Kathy, donated all of Julian's organs, including her eyes.
Hold up, you can get people's eyes?
The cornea. And so, Julia, if one person, when they pass away, donates organs, they can save 86 people. One person can save 86 lives. I got Julia's pancreas. A man in Chicago got Julia's heart. A man in Boston got Julia's cornea from her eyes. Bone marrow, they donated. Someone got her lungs. Before Julia got in an accident, a month before, she told her parents when she get 18, she was going to put on her license she wanted to be an organ donor. Julia passed from a lady drinking and driving, 70 years old. It was raining. Julia just graduated from high school. She was going to her job to bring her friend some food because her friend had been working late. And they hit her car. I spend time with Julia's family. They live in Connecticut. I haven't been a diabetic for 5 years. I've been insulin free for 5 years. Transplants.
Rest in peace, Julia.
Rest in peace to Julia. Transplants saves people's lives. And people do not understand that. A lot of people, I want to die with my organs. They don't know when you die, they cut your body open and they take your organs out and they weigh them. You don't know if your organs are going with you or if they're doing something with it. Let me not put that in people's head. But
too late.
Donating organs is important. They do not save you because you're an organ donor on your license. They actually do their best to save you because you can save 86 people's lives. You can go to anywhere in your city and become a donor even if you're living. You may not be a match, but you can go to the doctor's transplant wherever and say, I want to donate my organ. They'll find a match. You can have a family member, for instance, I'll use me for an example. So say I needed a kidney. You want to be my donor. You're not my match. We can go to the transplant center, find a family that you match, and their family matches me, and we could do a swap. Blood. People donate blood. I need people to understand donating organs is important.
Life-changing,
It
life-saving.
changes lives. I've had a gift of life over and over and over. I have life. I live every day because people have given me a gift of life. But my life didn't stop there. When I got my pancreas transplant, I took on taking care of my nephews. And I live for many, many people. And during me being sick, if that's what you want to call it, my nieces and nephews played a big part in me having life. Because though I'm visually impaired, my youngest nephew, I taught him, I had him from before he started kindergarten. I taught him how to read, write, do math, spell. He is now in the 5th grade. I didn't allow what has happened to me to handicap me. My nieces and nephews, they learned that, Auntie Shell need help, what they need to do. Auntie Shell, it's too dark for Auntie Shell. They know Auntie Shell, there's some stairs right there. Make sure you step up. And so me and Dante had a conversation last night. And I said to him, there's people that don't want to be responsible for me. And he didn't understand what I said, what I meant by that. And what I mean by that is, I surround myself around people who don't feel like they have to be responsible for me. I surround myself around people that want to be around me. Because there can be times where I go to a restaurant with somebody, I can't see to read the menu. They have to read it for me. And some people don't want to do that because they feel they got to be responsible for me. And so I say that to say this, this is my life for the rest of my life. And I love my life. And when me and Dante got reconnected, Dante started praying for my vision to be restored. And I said to him, it's funny because I never prayed for that. Because I feel like, what am I being selfish for? I have the vision I have. I can see. I live my life every day. I do what I do. I teach people. I guide people. I teach them. I work with people who need a transplant. I'm able to do everything everyone else can do except for drive or see small print. And so God has gotten me where I'm at. And I wasn't selfish enough to be like, restore my vision, because I have what I have. And it's gotten me where it's gotten me. And so I recently have had 3 strokes. My boyfriend passed away. May he rest in peace, Juice. Last year, September 1st. The stress of my boyfriend passing away had caused me to have my first stroke. 2 weeks after that, I had a minor stroke. And then a month after that, on Halloween, I had my second stroke. And then November the 9th, I had my 3rd stroke. My 3rd stroke was caused behind an incident. My sister attacked me. I'm not really going to speak too much on it, but it caused me to have my 3rd stroke. And it caused for my right side to be weaker than my left side. And still then, I never asked why. I haven't given up. That was November. December, I had a blockage. December the 6th. And I had to be rushed to the hospital. They rushed me to Boston because they didn't know how to treat me because I had a pancreas transplant. When I got in Boston and I had emergency surgery, my intestines was wrapped around my pancreas. And for 14 days, I couldn't eat, I couldn't talk, I couldn't pick up my phone, I couldn't do anything. And it made me just realize, like, the resilience that I built to deal with my life is amazing. And I can't do nothing but give all that thanks to God and these doctors that have been patient and that did all that they could do to make sure that I have life. I need to touch base on my mother, though. My mother, I had to tell her, you never hug me. You never touch me. And she took it the wrong way, and I'm like, I don't mean it in a bad way. I was like, so whenever I get sick or got sick or was in the hospital, my mother touches my hand. My mom rubs my hand. And so I told her that's what's gotten me through from 3 years old to now as an adult. The touch of her hand. The touch of her hand has gotten me through everything that we've been through. And I try to explain to people that that's important because a touch, just a touch, can get a person through their day.
Just a touch.
Just a touch.
Sound like the name of an episode. Just a touch. Just a touch of love, a little bit. Just a touch.
So I hope that this episode, if anyone needs help, I'm here, and I'm gonna give my phone number. My name is Michell Bridges again. My number is 401-867-0190. If you need a talk, if you need me to guide you, having to receive transplants is hard. Having to be on dialysis is hard. Being visually impaired is hard. But if you learn what you need to do, if you learn that this is your life for the rest of your life, you can live a regular life. I live in today and I don't worry about tomorrow till it gets here. And I am here to say I never met no one like me yet. I don't know no one that their kidneys failed and they're visually impaired. I don't know nobody that has been through what I've been through. But I know that I am able to teach people who have or are going through what I've been through, whether it's getting transplants, being on dialysis, being a diabetic, maybe losing their vision, or maybe that is blind. I understand. I've been through it. And God is why I'm here. God and Him allowing these doctors to have the hands they had to get me where I've been. And so I'm here for that reason. And this is my life for the rest of my life.
With that being said, so ladies and gentlemen, what we learned, boys and girls, what we learned today is basically you're not alone. Life is not over if you're going through something that you may feel is difficult. The best thing to do is to surround yourself with the people that can help you and encourage you to get the strength to carry on, because without them type of people in your life, you will find yourself failing because you will want to give up. So it's important to know who you are and the people you're surrounded with and what they're doing for you. Because like she said earlier, how we got reconnected, we was talking about love.
Yes.
And she answered a comment on Facebook. And so when I called her and I said, hey, I DM'd her and I said, hey, how's everything and all that. And so when she told me everything that she went through, I said, here's my number, call me. Call me. And the reason why I said call me is for this reason we're about to do right now. See, there's a lot of people that says, you know what, I'm going to pray for you, or I'll keep you in prayer, whatever. We're going to pray right now. If Key want to join, he could join. But this is what I've been doing with Shelly for the time that we get reconnected. She didn't ask for it.
No.
And I said, Shelly, have anybody ever prayed for you to get your sight back? She said no. So I said, you know what? I want to pray for you. Now, I want her to tell this part before I pray, because I said, God is going to hear you. What happened when you went to go visit your boyfriend?
So I went to Georgia last month, and before I was going to Georgia, Dante said, pay attention to your surroundings. Even, someone you don't know, don't ignore them. If they speak to you, someone's going to pray for you. And so I was like, okay. I was coming back home. They switched my seats. And the older guy sat next to me, and he had said something to me. And I was like, oh, I believe I told him I was visually impaired. And he was like, can I pray for you? And I said, yes. And that man prayed for me. I wasn't supposed to sit there. I was supposed to sit somewhere else. The flight attendants moved my seat. And so he was right. He had spoken into existence, and that man prayed for me. For my health in general, from my head to my feet.
Dear Heavenly Father, the purpose of this show, the purpose of this episode is to bring light into darkness. For those that is going through something that we don't know, this was the purpose of this episode. What's the purpose of us having the information, but we're not putting it out there? See, some people think it's a game and think it's a joke. But Beyond Eon's production is serious about really helping the community, really helping families. The whole purpose of this show is to get people that is qualified and people that is informative on the information that they have. Shelly with kidney failure, the therapist we had, the teachers, the politician. These are experts in their fields, and we just giving you an insight of how they see things. So sometimes we need to lift up these people and pray for them. Even if they in the wrong, correct them if they're willing to take the correction. But the reason why I want to pray every night, me and her talk on the phone, I pray for her sight to be restored. I pray, Lord, in her second half of her life, give her the ability to see and drive a car for the first time.
Again, I used to drive before.
Okay, you didn't tell me that, but...
I'm sorry.
Again. And to really enjoy the second half of her life. If she chooses to get married, I pray that she meets that wonderful man, or that man comes into her life and make her a wife. This is what it's about. We don't know what people are going through. And that's why I say it's important to not judge people, but to say hello. Bring somebody food if they're hungry. That's why I don't like wasting food. I don't like throwing nothing away. You go ask any restaurant, they'll tell you I don't like doing that, for the simple reason of, give it to somebody that may need that meal. But people, what I'm praying for and I'm hoping that y'all learn from this is everyone has a story. Don't think that you're the only one with a story. We all have a story. Some stories hurt more than others. Some stories are hard to bear. I'm just listening to a story, I'm going to say, ouch. But there's still a story. And you never know what you can do to help that individual, what they're going through. So if you notice everything that she went through, and another shout out to Julia's family. Julia's no longer here, and we pray for her soul to rest in paradise. But we pray for her family that released her organs to all the wonderful people that received the organs. And that's another story. So we just want to thank everyone that listened to this episode, that watched this episode, that's going to call Shelly and get help. Because I know some people that just went through strokes. There's other people that's going through kidney failure. And again, you are not alone.
Please, please become an organ donor. Please, even if it's just blood. You know how many blood transfusions I needed? Even if it's just blood, become an organ donor. One person can save 86 people. One person. Whether you donate now or when you pass. Anywhere in your city, you can call and find out where your transplant center is. You can go there. The person's insurance pays for everything. And they follow you for 5 years after the person's insurance pays for everything.
Do you know that was the greatest thing I heard today? That one person could save 86 lives? Mm-hmm. That I didn't know, and that was grateful information. So once again, I'm your host, Dante Martin. This is Michelle Shelley. This is The Other Side of Things. Thank you for tuning in, and I'm glad you enjoyed. Have a good one.